So thank you all for coming and joining us for our men's, like, it's hard to believe, summer is done and we're starting our season, but this is for welcoming Joe Bonavito, who is one of our two newest members to the Board of Selectmen, and we really appreciate him taking the time to come out and talk. And next month, men's breakfast will, Reverend Boylan will be with us, which will really be nice. And in November, Karen Tyler, who is our Director of Veteran Services. So we've already got all those things squared away. But just as a quick update, things are moving forward on our building project. I've been back and forth to meetings over the summer. Work has gone on with the contractors, and they've pulled wire, rough electrical, so they can be ready to do HVAC work. All of the HVAC equipment has been purchased. It's there in the building, ready to be installed. They wired through the studying that the kids had done before the end of the school year. The school department has been cleaning classrooms, painting, doing floor work. We had a wonderful tour through with the Board of Selectmen and the Council on Aging earlier this month. And right now, I know that they have started the demolition of the wall to be able to install the new entranceway. So I think that'll be the next thing that we'll see done. So we're good. It's happening. It's coming together. But I'm going to let Joe start, at this point, so that you can.
Thank you,
I
Tony.
appreciate you taking the time to come out and talk.
Oh, sure, my pleasure, my pleasure. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. First and foremost, I think it's great that you guys can get together like this and have breakfast and talk as you do. When Colleen actually asked me to talk, I actually asked her what I should be talking about. I didn't know if there was something that I should be talking about that's going on in the country or anything like that.
How to solve world peace, those easy issues.
Something along those lines, right? But this is not going to be anything political or anything. The purpose that Colleen and I really spoke about was really to come and introduce myself as one of the newest members of the board. Kind of give you a little bit of my background, from where I come from, how long I've been in town, and things like that. So I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I'm sure a lot of you guys don't want to hear, anything more than you have to really about, my background and what I'm looking to do. But I've been in town for about 15 years now. I'm on my second house actually in Georgetown. Our first one, my wife and I bought when we got married, and we're kind of without children. And we lived on Long Hill Road, which is back of the apartments off of Tenney Street. But then when we had children, we needed something a little bigger, a little bit more open. And I now live on Burnett Way in Georgetown, which it's a great street. Love my neighbors, and we really enjoyed not only being there but in the town. When my wife and I decided where we were going to move to, I grew up on the North Shore in Linfield. When we decided where we wanted to end up, we really wanted something specific, and that was a smaller town, something that had a great community feel to it, on the quiet side, things like that. Because when I grew up in Georgetown, and my wife is actually from the city, okay, we dealt with a lot of noise, around, a lot of commerce, things like that. So Georgetown really fit the bill. And when we decided to, move and buy our second home, we really didn't look anywhere else. It was one of those things where we were just looking for the right house, for our family, and we kind of settled in. And I always tell everybody that at this point, I'm gonna have to throw her out. She's gonna have to throw me out because we're not moving again. So anyway, my background is originally I'm from the city in Boston. About 10 years old, I moved to Linfield. And that's where I stayed for about 20 years. I went to a local grammar school there. Went to St. John's Prep for high school. I went to Bentley College and got my degree in finance. and I now work for, you guys might cringe a little bit, but I work for Bank of America as a commercial banker. I know a lot of people have some negative attitude, but it's actually, you know, a great place to be. I have a wife, Joy. I have a 10-year-old daughter named Ava, and my son Joey is 8 years old. Both, you know, in the local school system as well. Very active, you know, in participation in sports and different activities as well. My wife, Joy, does work. She works full time as well as myself. So it's always, you know, a little tough to juggle, you know, two working parents along with all the kids' activities and school and things of that nature as well. So we're really busy, you know, with time. For me, you know, I served on the FinCom board actually for 3 years as well before I became a selectman. I thought that was an integral part of deciding, you know, that I wanted to become a selectman because I actually went through 3 budgets. You know, I worked closely with, you know, Ed Dobie and Jim, you know, Tracy, and you know, we actually had, I had a good nucleus of people around me that really taught me the ropes when it came to, you know, the budget and went into it. As far as moving up to a selectman position, you know, growing up, you know, I came from an Italian family, very strict, you know, Italian family. And, you know, my grandfather was really the nucleus, the patriarch of that family. And he taught me everything that I really know as far as, you know, direction I have gone in. And that's really being a good family, you know, dad. Everything for me focuses around the family. So, you know, I will say, you know, my grandfather was my best friend in the world, right? We you know, actually had lunch every Thursday, you know, through college, and then every Saturday when I was in high school and I got my license and everything. So I had a lot of days where, you know, over a strawberry frap or, you know, whatever, that, you know, he taught me, you know, everything there is that I know about being a man and a good family man. So a lot of what I do today and a lot of what I think is right, you know, focuses around the family, and I think it's really a nice direction in what I pull for, so forth and so on. So anyway, you know, I think that Georgetown as a whole, the reason why I became a selectman is I really wanted to have a voice, okay, and there are 5 voices on the board, right? But I wanted to be a voice in terms of the direction of the town. You know, I think people that, you know, and Gary and all his time that he's been part of the board has seen, you have a lot of voices that'll come up in town, but nobody really wants to step up and actually be part of a board, okay, and be part of an ultimate voice that, you know, points the town in the right direction. So I do not want to do that. I've never really been one to sit on the sidelines and really watch other people, you know, point, you know, an organization, you know, a town, a company, whatever it may be, and, you know, have you sit on the sideline and just complain about it, right? There are a lot of people that will voice opinions, but then when it comes time to say, hey, why don't you sit on this board and really kind of try to point in the right, you know, no, I'm too busy, you know, that kind of thing. So that's not me. So as busy as I am, I welcome the opportunity to sit on this board, and I hope to sit on the board, you know, for a long time. I will tell you, I took the 1-year seat, mostly due to the fact that it was a new position for me, and with my, you know, busy life of, you know, my wife, my job, you know, my kids. I also have a business on the side that I run as well. You know, time was a concern, but I'm finding that the time is not as big of a concern as anticipated, and my wife doesn't feel that way either. So I'm hoping to continue, you know, moving forward and run again, and that now actually earn a 3-year seat, you know, for the next term. So in terms of my vision, yeah, sorry.
Well, just thinking, I've been here for a number of years, started out in the 70s here, then I left town, moved to Raleigh and the Byfield area, and then came back here the last 12 years or so. But over the years, you keep hearing about these industrial parks, and if you look around everywhere, Newburyport's some of the exception, they're much larger, but even the smaller communities, and they've often talked, why don't we set up an industrial park and get some income from these various companies that'll move in? And it's sort of been a talking item, but it's never gone beyond that.
Right.
Someone has never grabbed the bull by the horns and said, okay, we talking to this guy and that guy, and we need to buy whatever it is, 100 acres or some chunk of land.
Sure.
Where you can begin that. And I can't understand why it hasn't caught fire over the years.
I would agree, and I think a lot of people in town would agree with you. What I will say to that in my brief time, okay, here is, so we have, I think one of the most important boards in town right now is the Economic Development Board. And Gary, you're on the Economic Development Board, right? So, and we have some new people in there as well, and I think that everyone, I'm hoping agrees, with you as well. I think there's also a delicate, balance of, where you do this, because I think everybody still wants to keep the, we hear it all the time, including right here, to keep that small town feel. So hopefully we can find something on the outskirts.
Well, what's
of
nice
town,
about Georgetown, you're right off of 95, if it was there that something you can get on and off the road and on your way, you're not gonna come marching through town.
Yeah, I mean, I always looked at the land near the highway, when you're going through town, you're trying to get on 95, and there's that land on the right-hand side. From what I understand, again, I haven't done a lot of research into this as of yet, but I think that's state land. Gary, you might know more than me on that. I think it's state land, and then on the left, there's some land that is privately owned, and I guess, people actually have, inquired into that land. That's for sale. Quite expensive though. Yeah. From what I understand. I'd have to get some facts on that before I talk about it, but I think that is something that you're absolutely right. Again, the Economic Development Board is probably, maybe the most important board, arguably, in the town, because we really do need it to offset some of the personal taxes, real estate taxes that we are incurring. So,
Exactly.
yes, sir.
There's a strip of land right along 95 that was set up for, in the zoning bylaws for industrial development. And way back, they seemed to do everything they could in their power to prevent anyone from coming into town because they wouldn't go after any businesses.
Yeah.
But things have changed now. We've got a lot of good businesses in town.
Yeah, we do, but we're also losing, the center of town is a ghost town now because we've lost, some business. The Beagle building, there's nobody in there right now. So to really drive, business into those spaces is gonna be crucial, no doubt, moving forward.
Part of that has to do with the town's septic system.
Septic system, yeah. There's
You
not
know,
much.
and other towns have dealt with that, and somehow, either the business has to set up their own fields or to handle a septic. And even the couple of shopping centers that we have had, the one where, was it Dunkin' Donuts area? They have had to buy the next piece of property over. From what I understand, so he said he could rent, he can't rent the place otherwise, because they had something lined up with a medical facility to go in there, but they didn't have the septic system that would allow them to do that until they've now built a new.
Well, and you can also argue, it depends on the kind of business that might be able to go into a certain space, that might not need. I mean, look at the Spot. The Spot went in, and they dealt with it, so. I just think there's just a lot of conversations that have to take place with different kind of businesses, business brokers, realtors. Sometimes, people have asked me about, well, I see a realtor sign, but, what else is being done? I just don't know. Again, I just don't have any facts, around that. But I'm hoping that, the Economic Development Board has some things going on, and I know they're trying hard to drive some of that in town, but the bigger stuff, I think, we have to look on the outskirts of town, because I don't think anybody wants anything in town to drive more traffic, which none of us want, or anything like that, so. I think that'll be, a work in progress.
What about the marijuana thing down on
The marijuana thing I can't talk about too much, that's in negotiations. It is happening, but it's
I
in
think
negotiations.
it's a good thing for the taxes.
I would agree if we can negotiate something that is mutually beneficial for the business in the town, sure,
Yeah.
sure. So, you know, from that standpoint, you know, gentlemen, I was gonna actually get to, you know, all these questions is that, you know, a lot of the stuff in town, as a community, you know, we're always trying to, you know, do the best for, you know, everybody, right? And you have votes, you know, in elections to, you know, hear the voice of the community. Sometimes we want a lot more participation, you know, in voting than we've had in the past, so we're gonna probably drive a little bit more of that. You know, but as a community, hopefully, there's a lot of give and take. You know, you take the school, you know, I've heard, you know, a lot of, you know, pretty much Georgetown was split on that, let's face it. I mean, that passed by a very small vote. But at the same time, it's been, you know, great, you know, because now it's gonna enable, you know, the senior center to go in, right? So hopefully that was a good give and take, you know, for everybody. And they now have a place to go. We took a tour, as Colleen said. I mean, I think it's coming out great. I think there's gonna be a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things, offer a lot of services, you know, to the seniors that they might not have had before. Yes?
You have to change your zoning bylaws, that's where your troubles come in, because
I-
there's always certain people that say, well, I've got mine, I don't want anyone else near me,
Yeah.
and change it.
I find that there's a lot, there's a lot of bylaws that needs to be changed, quite
Oh, yeah,
frankly.
Definitely.
You know, we had an issue this summer at American Legion, and it was the first time I had heard that, you know, that there's a lot of work to be done on bylaws there as well. That there's just a lack of bylaws that, you know, would not enable, you know, Chief Cudmore to do his job. So those are the kinds of things that have to be done. And really, we're gonna, you know, call on, you know, the heads of all those boards, you know, to look at it, you know, almost as an overhaul to say, okay, are the bylaws in place? Zoning is one, you know, area certainly that we'll probably have to look at as well, so,
We used to have stickers to use that beach
yes.
for the town people only.
Yep.
And, when I was on the police force, if your car didn't have a sticker, you threw them the hell out, or you had the car towed.
Yeah, well, I mean, what happened there is the town used state funds to help renovate the park. When you use state funds, and
First
Gary,
and
correct me if
second.
I'm wrong, I might agree with you on that. But at the same time, the job got done. But when you do that, you open it up to a community at large outside of Georgetown. There are some things that I'd like to work on during the off season there that will hopefully, you know, help some situation, you know, down there and maybe even help the town a little bit. But again, that will be something that we'll work on during the winter and we'll come out with some news hopefully, you know, later on in the winter into next summer that will help there. But in the meantime, you know, the Board of Selectmen, along with, you know, the help of everybody in town, the chief, you know, we just brought on an officer that will help patrol American Legion, you know, to ensure the safety of, you know, everybody down there, where it was a little dicey earlier this summer and to the last couple of summers, quite frankly, so. We're excited about that, you know, we got that done and, you know, as far as, you know, going back to the school, you know, I think the heart of every community, and this is coming from a dad, you know, with 2 kids in the school, I think the heart of every community is its school system, I really do. You might disagree and that's okay, but, you know, you see other communities, gentlemen, that had schools shot up. All right, you know, something bad happened, kids have died, you know, things like that. And those communities wither and die, all right, because the people just, you know, they're hit in the heart of, again, what I feel is the center of any community. And, you know, you take Connecticut, you know, I've heard a lot of reports where that place still hasn't recovered, and it probably will never recover. All right, people have moved out of that town, things like that. So God forbid anything like that ever happens, you know, here, because that would really cut out, I think, a lot of people's heart. And so therefore, you know, bringing this officer on, you know, add, you know, safety, you know, at the schools at American Legion, and I am certainly a proponent, you know, of doing things like that to protect everybody, you know, in town. I'm actually hoping, and I'm a proponent of working with the police moving forward. I know Chief hadn't brought on an officer in a long time, and I know we're getting some feedback that, it might be something where you might even need someone else, but, that's down the line, and we have to address some other things, so, yes.
Started today, didn't he? Was today the?
Yes, Harold? Oh, no, he started the first day of school.
Okay.
Very first day of school, yeah, he was out there. I mean, the feedback that I have received from, parents that I talk to has been tremendously positive. I guess for years, they were looking for, someone to start over there to, direct traffic around Elm Street and 133 for safety. And again, I'll say, I'm one of them. I take a left on that street to get my kids to school. Very dangerous. I mean, I held my breath every time I took that left, right? And so I'm happy that someone's there. But really to have someone in the school, I talked to a couple of officers who have been in the schools in the past that are still on the force. And there's a lot more that happens than, maybe a lot of us know about. So to have now someone in the school to interact with the kids, all right, kind of point them in the right direction. I mean, I think that's what our job is as educators, as peers, okay, is to point these kids in the right direction. Like every community, all right, the drug issue is becoming a huge issue, community to community. And it's unfortunate, but it's present, okay? And Georgetown's not like any other community. It's here, guys. It's where I know all of us would love to think that Georgetown is this utopia, where that doesn't. No, it happens here, just like every other community, okay? So we're hoping. I've had a discussion even with that too, where this SRO is going to talk to kids, figure out if anything's going on. But it's really, again, for the protection of the kids, to educate them, point them in the right direction so they can become really productive citizens within their community, right?
Kids aren't gonna tell you anything.
No, that's actually wrong. That's actually wrong. Because I talked to Officer Jones, if you know Officer Jones.
Yeah.
He was kind of the acting SRO, and I talked to him at length about that. And he said, no, there are kids who told him plenty.
Some, but.
Oh yeah, no, it's not gonna be everybody, but some that he got close with, and I think that's part of his job is to really hear the kids, hear what their concerns are. I mean, there are kids that aspire for the stars, and we need to make sure they have the opportunity to do that. And I think by having the SRO provide a level of security, I think it just makes it easier for kids to learn, kids to, again, aspire and meet their long-term goals and get into college and do what they want to do, so.
Expand on SRO, so.
Sure.
So-
School resource officer, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Gary. School resource officer, and again, his position, by the way, is to direct every single morning, he's gonna be on the edge of 133 and Elm Street to direct that traffic, so there is no, major accident. Which has happened. My next door neighbor got into a major accident there. But then during the school day between Pembroke and the high school, he is going to, ensure safety, okay? He's gonna even be teaching a class, okay, on certain things. I can't discuss, because I don't know, not that I can't discuss, but I don't know, the topic he's gonna be teaching. He's also going to put in an emergency system. So when we talk about bylaws, right, that you have to put some bylaws within the system. There's no emergency, platform right now for if something happens at the schools, right? There's no direction, right? So one of his major, and I say major, goals is to put somewhat of an emergency plan in place so that if something does happen, that there is something that is in place, has been taught to everybody around him, and that can be followed. All right, hopefully we don't get there, right? But that is also something. And then, during the off season, again, he's going to be the gentleman who's going to be down there at the American Legion Park. As his kids are out of school, he's going to be there patrolling the park to make sure that our citizens are safe.
You say the accidents have been happening down at Elm and
Yes.
133.
Yep.
Well, the biggest problem is Winter Street. There's no room for people going through Georgetown to get by there when the cars that want to make a left turn and go down Winter Street to the high school.
Yep.
They don't always pull over, and they still won't let a car get by. And then by the time the cars come through Groveland,
Yep.
bumper to bumper, 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Step on
If they
it.
get down there, they're pretty mad, so if they see an opening, boom, they hit with everybody
Yeah.
else.
Well, you know, I thought Chief had told me, Gary, maybe you could talk to them, I'm not sure, but I thought Chief had told me that there was someone down near the high school, because they get to school earlier than Pembroke. I could be wrong, I don't know, I'd have to ask Chief about that. But you know what, there's been a lot of complaints already, actually, about the time that people are taking to get through Georgetown. There was one woman, who actually called the chief complaining about it, and she's from Haverhill. And you know, and the chief, you know, justifiably said, listen, this is our town, you know, we're ensuring safety here. If you don't like it, go somewhere else,
Go
you know,
around.
go around, all right? And so this was not to, you know, quicken traffic or make it faster, it was to ensure safety.
It's poor planning, and there's somebody in the state, when they laid this highway out,
Well,
they should have made it a little wider there, so they could get a line of traffic.
yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Ah.
Maybe, you know. But listen, you know, we're working towards a lot of things. I mean, it's, you know, I think every town, everything changes, as you gentlemen know. You guys, you know, one thing I always talked to my grandfather about was the amount of things that he saw over his lifetime. There have, you know, been, I mean, a majority of you have been through wars, have seen them, have seen innovation, okay? So, you know, the world is, you know, constantly changing, and you gotta, unfortunately, sometimes change with it, okay? Unfortunately, I'll argue, I don't like some of the change myself in terms of what's going on in the world today, but unfortunately, you have to adapt to what's going on, and I think every community is the same way, all right? Everything's changing, you have to adapt to, you know, what's going on in your community, and you make the best of what you have, okay? You know, there's always something that can be done, right? It's almost like a house, right? There's always something you can do to your house, right? Because the sun's always breaking down,
It never gets finished.
right? Exactly, right? And, you know, everything, you know, is always, you know, hey, you know, we should do this or we should do that. Well, you know, it's something we can get to things as we get to them. Certainly funding is always, you know, a major concern. We're not a huge town, you know, with a huge budget, but, you know, I think we do a good job of it.
That's why we need that industrial park.
No, listen, I completely agree, and I'm hoping to, you know, certainly, hopefully, we have an opportunity to do something with that. Again, I think it's on the top of everyone's list.
Yeah.
Because not only can it bring in, you know, more business, but maybe offset some of our personal real estate, you know, taxes.
You're not gonna get anything done until you get rid of the septic system. We had a chance to get rid of them back here a few years ago by joining Groveland and stuffing all of our stuff up the away from here.
Yeah.
But we didn't do it.
Right.
And this is what we got today that is wrong with this town right now.
Yeah.
We don't have the water. We can't build any more houses and put septic systems in.
Yeah. But that's it. I think I think you're right. I mean, I think we've missed our chance. So I think I asked that question at one time. Someone asked the question, whether it be at a meeting or maybe it was even a town meeting. But I think we've missed our chance, you know, for that. I think it would take millions upon millions of dollars to do anything now. So, but again, you know, it's something we need to work with. We know this is where we're at, right? We have to work around it and try to make the best of it.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
I've been in this town since 1974 and I've seen a lot of changes.
Oh yeah.
But we haven't had any that has been any good. And now this gentleman here wants to put a bunch of buildings in here now. What are we gonna do with the septic systems?
Well, I think we're gonna have to let Joe get going home, but thank you so much.
No, my pleasure. You know, and
We're not
Feel
alone
free.
in that, I actually, because now that I have a daughter living in Lakeville,
yeah,
it's
I want to give
surprised.
everyone my card
Lakeville is
just
all
in case
on
you need me. Here's my
Send-
card
send
with my
it
name,
to that side.
just in case you would like to reach out. I don't think I should. Yeah, I'm Joe Bonavito. Pleasure.
Yes, you certainly.
All right, Joe.
Hey, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Joe.
All right.
Good, thanks.
Anyway.
But,
Good to see you. Take care.
so,
But thank you, gentlemen, for the time. I actually do have to head home. My daughter is sick. I was just telling Colleen, she's now missed 2 out of her first 3 days of school.
And you know what, this happens. The worst is when the teacher gets sick,
Oh, yeah.
because again, you haven't been around kids for all summer, you go back to school, and I used to swear every time a kid walks through the door with strep throat, that was me. I would be, I was out sick then, but, but it happens, so.
Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, any recommendations, suggestions, I know you have a good pal here, but if you do want to reach out to me, you have my card, feel free. Can't promise you all your suggestions will come to fruition, but we'll certainly work
No,
towards it.
but the Board of Selectmen has been very responsive and very supportive.
Yeah, and
Especially
actually,
as we're going through this building project, it's certainly, they've been wonderful partners, so we appreciate that.
and Colleen and I are working, as the center gets open, I told her I have a pretty good outreach on Facebook, if you guys know about Facebook, and it's an easy way to get in touch with the community. And I'm going to be working actively to post some things that maybe the center needs once it's open. And I'll certainly talk to Colleen moving forward. But I'm certainly going to make a donation, okay, towards the center, personally, not on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, but just as an outreach. My father-in-law passed away last year, so it's going to be on his behalf. And my wife and I talked about it, and we just really like the opportunity to help the center in terms of what it needs to get open and to function with what you guys need. So I love the progress of the center. I think it's going to be a great place. Okay, and I'm hoping to actually be somewhat involved where I can. Okay, after everything that I have going on in life. So I hope to see you guys at the center. Again, please let me know.
We talked about Joe Richard's bocce.
Gentlemen, enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care,
That's
guys.
rough, thanks.
All they have to
Remember,
do is walk off West Street.
My daughter.